Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. And in today's video, we're going to talk about a few credit card portfolios that are being sold on the market. These are portfolios that debt collectors buy in, and they start to go through a collection process and ultimately try to sue. Some of the times depends on if the statute of limitations is passed. But even if the statute of limitation is passed, they will still try to collect on this debt because people don't know their rights. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to also answer some questions in YouTube, and then I'm going to also get into uh, talking about the credit scores. I made a video yesterday that I believe should have gotten more views, but I think maybe because I labeled it wrong, because this is probably one of the most important answers that people uh, have questions about the FICO scoring system, which is that it's on a point system and that you could be doing everything. Well, I won't say everything, you could be doing 90% of the stuff right, and you're wondering why your scores won't achieve 800 or 825 to get you way over those levels, or even if you're trying to make it into the 700s, 725, 750, there are some things that you could be doing, even if you're making your payments, you're keeping your utilization down, all of that stuff. There could be stuff that you're doing, and it's just not going to allow your score to achieve that level because it's broken down into different point. You can only get a max amount of points for things that you're doing, and most people focus on keeping their debt down. If they're really like focused on getting their score up, they focus on keeping their debt down, and they focus on making sure that they don't miss any payments. Like that's their main focus. And but you could do that and still not get to that high score. And as a matter of fact, using my trusty calculator here, if you make all of your payments, you have no public records history issues on your credit reports, the max score that you could have is 552 points. And you would be upset if you made all your payments, didn't have no issues with your debt to income ratio, no issues with your utilization, and you're like, how can I have a credit score of 552.5 points? Well, I'm going to get into that in a second. I think that video should have got more views. Maybe this one will get more views. Uh, Before I start, and I want you to clap your hands. I want you to wake yourself up. We have no time to waste. And when I say no time to waste, that means that whatever you do with your life, whatever you're doing, do it with intensity. Do it as if there is no tomorrow. Now, I'm not saying go out there and be reckless, but what I'm saying is that if you got to work on something, work on it today. Because the little thing that you do today and the little thing you do tomorrow, the little thing you do the next day after that will add up to be something big. See, people think a lot of times that you got to do everything at one time. And uh, someone had asked me about, yeah, it's okay. I just had my office clean like every 6 months. I do it, have a company come in and do it like a deep clean of the bathrooms and the stairways, all of that stuff, and the windows. I got a lot of windows here. And the person was looking at my office because I have a glass instead of walls for part of my office work, because it used to be a bank, and you know how in a bank you can always like look in the office, they have glass. And on my glass it has the different companies that I own. And the person, I could see the one of the workers for the cleaning company, she was like, "It got that company, that company, that company." The crazy thing though is that they were focusing on the credit repair. Like everybody has a credit repair issue. But she was like looking, and she was asking, how can you do all of that stuff? And she never did come and ask me, but I've had that question asked before. And if you don't, like, if you're trying to do multiple things and run your personal life, and with me, spend time with grandchildren, spouse, do all that stuff, you have to do little things that'll add up to big things. And that means that you, like when I said clap, that means wake up, because what we're doing right now is we're talking about your credit. We're talking about your debt. We're talking about answering questions so you can hear from what other people ask, and it might be something similar to what you're going through, because you just never know. You're here watching this video for a reason. You're here for a reason. It's not just because you were scanning and you decided to click this. You're here for a reason. There's going to be an answer in this, a lesson in this for you. So let's get to it. Uh, Also, I review these sheets here. We call these the daily workflow sheets. I get these from each of my companies, and I'm always looking at how many people did you talk to. Like for this one here was for the credit. How many people did you talk to, and how many people decided to sign up for our services? And obviously, there's always a lot more people that we talk to that sign up for the services. And um, sometimes I try to put myself into the mindset. I tell my employees don't do this because their job is just to do their job. But I kind of dig into, because I don't have to do their type of duties. Is I try to think about what are people going through in their mind that get them not to take action. Like what is going through their mind to not take action? One of the most prevalent things with credit repair is that people have tried it before and they're like, it just doesn't work. And my answer to that is, it's a twofold answer. Is number one, you probably was working with someone who didn't tell you the truth about what you have to go through for your specific situation. And I'm going to get into that in this video also, because people have unrealistic goals about credit repair, and it's not that you can't have your credit repaired, it's that what you have to go through, you're unrealistic about what your situation, what the solution for your situation is. I'll give you a quick example. There was a call that we had yesterday. This lady has over $100,000 in credit card debt, and she just wanted to have the debt disappear. Let me tell you that does not work in this world. Like you can go to sleep and dream about that credit card debt goes away, but the only way that credit card debt is going to go away, and this is recently charged off credit card debt, like 6 months, is that you're going to have to go into a settlement process. If you don't have a true hardship, they're not going to consider doing any type of debt forgiveness, nothing. So if you're going to be realistic about your situation, you can't just go scanning all over YouTube for some type of idea or some type of scheme that's going to somehow make your credit card debt disappear. It doesn't exist. And then when somebody that is out there telling people to do that stuff, and they attempt to do it and it doesn't work, it just gets them into more makes their financial situation worse, gets them into trouble sometimes. Then they think that that's what credit repair is about, when no, that wasn't what credit repair was about. That was what you jumped yourself into, something that was unrealistic. And so that's that's like one of the main reasons why people don't, is because they just have this unrealistic goal and they've dealt with other people before. The second thing is that they just don't believe that they can have good credit. And it surprises me to this day. I hear it from people. People comment on YouTube, like they will make statements, and I'm like, do you understand what you're saying? Like maybe you should reread the comment that you made and understand what you're saying to yourself. Some of the times, see, why I'm very careful about commenting on anything. I don't even, there's probably very few comments that I've ever done where people have posted, like if I'm on Facebook or YouTube looking at something, and there's a video, or there's some type of a story or something in there, and people comment on them, is that I'm very, very careful about the words I say, because believe it or not, when you comment, you're not really talking. You think you're talking to other people, and you might get reactions from other people, but you're really talking to yourself. And that might fly over some people's head, but you're really talking to yourself. And let me tell you how I can prove that you're really talking to yourself. How many times have you commented and then you erased the comment and then you redid it again? Why would you care what somebody else thought? And it's not because you care about what somebody else thought about your comment, is that you are talking to yourself really in that comment. And you're asking yourself, is this really me? But some people are out of themselves. Like, we do live in a world where some people are out of themselves and they live on these platforms. I don't think any people in my audience are that, like the regular people. There are some people that come and comment on here, and you can tell that they're out of themselves. But so there's a deep belief that they cannot repair their credit. Like, it's unbelievable that people have that feeling. And my job is to just just do these videos over and over again so people can start to believe in themselves. You don't believe in me. You think you believe in me. You just believe in yourself. And when you believe in yourself, you're believing that you're going to follow through. You're going to follow through. And there is no time frame for your situation that anyone can really legitimately say. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody's mindset on what they want to do is different. Even the companies that you deal with, I have a client where he is ready to settle with companies, with debt with companies, and these companies are not even moving forward on settlement. It's like they're dragging their feet, and this man is ready to move forward. And it's crazy. Like, some of the times when you're ready to move forward, then the other side isn't ready to move forward. It's like you got to wait for their process. And some of the times that might be because they were like, hey, you didn't pay us, and now you're going to be on our terms, and when we get to you, we get to you. And also understand this. Understand this. These companies are some of them are dealing with millions of accounts. And no, not all millions of accounts are bad, but they have a limited department that will deal with the bad accounts. And you're talking about an individual that's dealing with hundreds of thousands of accounts. And then if it's an attorney that's working for a company, we just did a settlement a few weeks back where this young lady was ready. She has $20,000 ready to settle. We negotiated the settlement. It took 3 weeks for the attorney to get the contract over. It was settled. Court case was set aside and dismissed. She's got the funds ready to pay, and it took 3 weeks to get the contract over. The reason why it took 3 weeks, because this attorney was in court every day dealing with the other people that he had to deal with. And so when people have all of those types of things that just hit them, they start to believe that it is not set up for them to win. And some people make these comments right here on YouTube. It's not set up for me to win. They'll say that when you say it's not set up for you to win. If you say the word, it's not set up for me to win, who are you talking to? You're talking to yourself, and you're telling yourself you're talking your way out of it. You're giving yourself an excuse. And I'm not here to say that all of this stuff is easy. I'm not here to say that I have all the answers for you. But what I am here to say is that you cannot quit, and that you got to just wake yourself up. All right, let's get into the portfolio. There's a portfolio here, 33.33. This is no joke. $33.333 million. $3,333,135.20. 2045 accounts. Average balance $1,629, and the charge-off date is 2009. There is only one state that this is legal to collect in, only one state. And we just go to thecreditrepairshop.com. I don't have this still in my memory. I should. There's only one state in this Union of United States of America, and that's Kentucky. Oh, I'm sorry, Kentucky and Ohio. So if you live in Kentucky, you live in Ohio, this debt is not past the legal statute of limitations. It's getting close. So if you live in these states and they buy this debt, you are not out of the woods yet. And I'm going to give you a solution for that in a minute. I'm going to give you a solution if they do try to come after you and they try to say something like, well, maybe you should, you have a moral obligation to pay. All right, here we go. Now, remember was it Mint? Not sure, one of these fintech companies. Well, they're through their debt out here, and this debt is not past the legal statute of limitations, except for one state, I think. It is principal balance $13,681,330.81, 16,202 accounts. Average balance is $844.42, and the charge-off date is 11/15/2019. So that's 4 years, getting ready to go on 5 years. If you live in Alabama, you still got another year. If you live in Alaska, you got another year. If you live in Arkansas, you are right on the border. California, you're good. Colorado, got another year. Connecticut, got another year. Delaware, you're good. Crazy thing about Delaware is Delaware has a shorter statute of limitations for contract and promissory note, and they have for opening accounts for credit card, they have a statute of limitations of 4 years. So they got 3 years and then 4 years with credit card. And the crazy thing about it is Delaware isn't that where all the credit card stuff originated from? DC, you're good. Florida, you got a year. You're on the border. Georgia, you got a year. Hawaii, you got a year. Idaho, you got a year. Illinois, you got 5 years. Indiana, 5 years. Iowa, 5 years. Unless they put it as a promissory note. In the contract, you need to look, because this is going to be a big deal. There was all promissory notes we did not see a lot of, but these fintech companies, they have in their contract that it's a promissory note. So now when you go to look at the statute of limitations on the Credit Repair Shop blog on my website, look at that promissory note section, because there are a lot of contracts out there that are stating that they're promissory notes now. And then the fourth column is credit card type debt. And you can look down the chart, states, West Virginia, Wyoming, I just skipped all the way down there, Missouri, all of those, Ohio, all of those have a longer statute of limitations. So if you have that debt, this is those fintech companies. They're starting, they approve you for a loan by your looking at your bank account some of the times. They have these soft pull and say, hey, you're going to be able to get the loan. Well, that's where these are coming from. And a lot of those are starting to hit the market. This is one portfolio, 13.681, $330.81. And the statute of limitation was 2019, 11 of 2019. Here is another one for $3,085,511.62, 2013 accounts, and the charge-off date is 2017. For most states, it's out of the statute of limitation zone, and it's 1,532.79 is the average balance of the accounts. And again, I'm going to tell you what you'll be able to do with that later. let's get into some of the questions. Someone stated here that attorneys violate, well, this was from a short that I did where it says where there was a debt collection rep that I had some communications with, and he had stated that debt collection lawyers don't tell them what I'm telling people to do to help themselves. And I'm like, why would that debt collector tell you what to do to hurt them with the company? Your job is just to collect the debt, but you got to stay within the bounds of collecting it. But this is from my business side, is that you don't want to hamper your employees' spirit. You don't want to hamper the morale of your employees by saying, well, we got to go out there and try to collect from these people who owe these debts. And hey, you need to watch out for if they say this and this and this again, because that we can't try to collect on it. No, they're not going to say that, because that's going to lower the morale. It's going to be like, how can we collect the debt if we're like telling them their rights? So be aware of that. Someone stated, remember the report date and the statement date, because someone was stating that they were, well, on that video, I said you could be making your payments on time and your credit score could still be harmed, not where it's harming you like it's bad, but where it's like you're not getting the benefit of the algorithm because you're carrying a balance over on the statement date. And then they report it even though your due date is after that date. So it'll look like even though you pay it off by the due date, it's like you're carrying a balance over on for the algorithm. The algorithm is seeing it that way. And so on that video, I had said, hey, you gotta find out when your report date is and your statement date so you can make, the appropriate uh, uh, make your payment if you're worried about your score that way. Some people don't worry about their score that way, but some people do. And I admit, when I was getting my score up there, I was worried about that. And now that it's just been years and I know how the whole thing works and what I'm trying to do with my credit, I don't really care about that. Okay, someone said that is the IRS a third party collector for the United States? And I said, well, in a sense they are, but they get away with it by saying that they're a department, that it's a department of the United States. And even though the United States is really a federal corporation, which is crazy, but they make their own rules. Someone had a question here about employers looking at credit reports and making determinations off of credit reports. This is true. And I see that this is starting to jump up even more and more. It had kind of went down a little bit, but I noticed even from one of my other companies that I have, we have to do a full background check. And part of that background check does go into the credit report. Even though we don't hire people based off their credit, it is part of the background check. Um, Here's one. Here's the person that said that their credit score is 340 now and that they don't even care. Cash is king, which cash is king, but credit is also king. And what I say is that, yes, that you can live that simple lifestyle, but there will be a day that you will probably want to have that credit in the realm of, having an excellent score. And it's not to per se use the credit for it. It's that this is like, part of the way it's just like having your high school diploma or your college degree, it or your driver's license or your insurance. This is just like a piece of something that we need to have to show, if ever questioned for any reason, that you know how to handle your money. Like that's what it's basically. Now, if you just got a clean report and you don't have nothing, yeah, fine. But if you got bad credit and you're just thinking, okay, I'm just gonna manage through life, not worrying about it, there's gonna be something that come up. Like I talk about what happened with me and with my youngest daughter, renting when she went away to perform in art school, and we wanted to make sure she had a secure place to live, and she was living in a gated condo, and it was $1,500 a month. And I said, well, I'll just pay, for a year at a time, pay it in full. They were like, we don't care that you could pay it in full. We still want to check your credit. So if my credit was not situated, they were not going to allow my daughter to live in there. And we were not comfortable not have, because of the first time away from home. She was only 18 years old. We were just not comfortable with the dorms that they had for the school. I mean, not to say that they wasn't good. We just, your kids, like you're ready or not ready. And at the time, we just thought that she would not be ready uh, for for that type of situation. Maybe she would have been, uh, but for us, that I was glad that my credit was in very good standing, because then, number one, I didn't have to pay in advance. I just paid month to month, and put the security deposit. So I kept all of that money, and then utilized my credit for her being able to stay there. Someone put, and I'm still inviting you, and I put a note on there. They said that they do 1099-Cs all the time to discharge debt. I said, okay, let's do a Zoom and let's prove it. Let's see what they answer. People never do answer when I say let's go on and do and just show proof, or let's talk about how to do it. They're just not doing it. I tell you the real way to do it, and it's not where you're just making some company do it. Watch my videos on that. All right, let's get into real quick. To close out the video. Let's talk about the uh, the credit point system, the points. Like we've always talked about, hey, the payment history and the public records, that counts for 35%. But if we go point wise, that's 297.5 points. And then if we look at the outstanding debt that is owed, 30%, that's 255 points. So if you do everything right, like I said, that was what, 255 plus 297.5. That's still only 552 points. And so you could do everything right and still not have your scores at the level that you want. So now the next important points that you can get is how long you've had credit with those creditors. You can get up to another 127.5 points. So if we add on another 127.5 points, you would be at 680. You're still not there. Now, let's say that you did all three of those right. Let me tell you what could also be holding you back. And these two are worth 85 points, and they would get you to 850. Is that you could have too many inquiries, because that's 85 points. And I asked one of my customer service team so we could try to figure out the algorithm, because they do change it from time to time. But I said, let's get me someone who had a whole bunch of inquiries, and let's kind of look at what they're losing on their score. And some people might be saying, well, I got a ton of inquiries. We had someone who had 150 inquiries. And I told my rep, don't ever sign anyone up who has 150 inquiries, because that person is not of the right mindset. Now, you can sign them up for coaching services, because this person needs to be coached, that you don't go out there and get 150 inquiries. And then I said, I take that back. Look at the inquiries, because they could be spammed inquiries. Because car dealers, what they'll do, they'll shop your credit around. to all of these lenders. And then there's some of these lending type websites that'll shop it around, and all of these companies will have an inquiry on your credit reports. They call it spam inquiries. And so if you see something like that, let's try to figure out what's the point system on there, and so we can try to see what it's hurting. I from what I've seen from experience, it's going to be 3 to 5 points is you're going to get hit. But if you have multiple, that's like over and above. I mean, how many 3 to 5 points can you give on a person? That would take away 85 points. So you could be doing all that other stuff right. You could have a 680 credit score, but if you're messing up with it, with the going out there getting too many inquiries, you're gonna not optimize the additional 85 potential points that you can have. So you need to keep that at a minimum. And then the types of credit that you have is the other 85 points that would get you to the maximum of 850 on a score. So we know that credit card, open end credit card type accounts will get you a higher type of will work better with the algorithm and increase your scores. We know that if you have a auto loan or you have where you're paying payments, but they're not where you can they're like not an opening account, those are going to work more for you over time. And also, though, at the beginning, those are going to work against you with the time, so you can kind of wrap your mind around it. So if you go and get an auto loan, you got approved for the credit, so that's an inquiry. The amount of time that you have the loan, if you're starting off from day one, is going to work against you for the algorithm because the time frame. So that's going to hurt you, so to speak. Not really hurt you, but hurt you in the algorithm for the length of time. So it's going to count against that 127.5 points. It's going to also hurt against you with the type because those type of accounts don't really help you until you've been making payments for a longer period of time. And then it's also going to ding you a little bit because you have that open debt, like that debt. Say you go and get a car, $30,000, and you it was 45,000. You put a down payment. It's going to put on your credit that installment loan. It's not going to say that it was 45,000 and you paid 10,000 down. It's going to actually state what you have outstanding. They're going to put that amount. So you're starting that at day one. So you can kind of see how the algorithm kind of will pull back when you have new stuff put on there. And then the payment history. When you're starting off at day one, how could it's going to say, well, okay, you've been paying on these for a long period of time. So your averages was over 2 years, but now you introduce this new account and now it's going to pull your averages down. So you can see how the algorithm will pull you down again. So these are things that you just got to keep in mind. And if you keep those in mind, you will understand how you got to play the credit game. But because this is the game that they worked with the algorithm and how you got to kind of work that game and understand that if I do this, there's going to be a reaction over here. And as long as you understand that reaction and you minimize what you're doing that could hurt you against the algorithm, if that is your goal, then you can you will always rebound, but you just got to make sure that you work within those guidelines. All right, let's finish this out with if you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, what makes us different, so you can see my 8-point validation process and my two-phase settlement process. This is the way that we repair credit. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website yournumber3scores.com to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports, and all 3 scores. If you have debt collectors coming after you, so this is the answer to these debt buyers who are buying these portfolios. Grab my 3-pack of letters. Statute of limitations letter for debt that's past legal statute of limitation. No debt validation is needed when a debt is past the legal statute of limitations to collect. Grab my debt validation letter, my cease and desist collection activities letter. The way you use those letters is first, when you get a letter from a debt collector, that 30-day dunning letter, and I want you to review everything about that letter to make sure it wasn't sent by an unauthorized third party. You can tell that by the envelope, but type in my videos on my channel so you can see a video where I explain what you need to watch out for with that. All of that checks out, then you need to send this cease and desist collection activities letter to ask them questions that they're not used to you asking about the debt that they purchased. And then I give you a debt validation letter to go back and forth. That will at least, especially with this type of debt, can make that debt go away. That's could be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars just for being able to do that, to stop a debt collector. These letters have worked wonders for my company, have worked wonders for people here on YouTube. Just said, someone put on here, I just copied and pasted the letter and it stopped, the debt collector stopped. Thousands of dollars that this person did not have to spend. Time in court, if it would have reached going to court, that do not have to worry about going to court, not worried about having to get money garnished. People are going through this stuff all the time, and it can be stopped by simply doing what I'm telling you to do up front with that. All right, thank you for your time. Please subscribe to the channel, share this video, post your questions and comments. If you need help, again, go to my website, thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch what we do for people. Please subscribe to the channel, post your questions and comments. It's Stephen A. Williams, President and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com. Thank you for watching.